Yirmiyahu in Perek Tes, Pasuk Yud Aleph, asks, Alma of the Haaretz. And the Medrash tells us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu came, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu asked all of the Chachamim, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu asked the Nevi'im, and nobody knew Alma of the Haaretz. No one could say why Klal Yisrael was sent out of Eretz Yisrael. Why? And we would think the answer would be very simple. At the time of the Churban Bayis Rishon, there was Avodah Zarah, there was idol worship, there was Shvichas Damim, there was bloodshed, there was Gilui Arayos, there was inappropriate relationships. Wouldn't it be obvious why Alma of the Haaretz? Why does HaKadosh Baruch Hu have to go to the Zekanim and the Chachamim and the Nevi'im, and nobody knows until HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself comes and reveals to Klal Yisrael, Alma of the Haaretz? Why was the land lost? Al Shalo Birchu B'Torah Tchila, that they didn't make the bracha on Torah first. No one knew? No one realized? What does this mean? That's the first question we want to discuss today. The second question that we find is a very fascinating thing. Normally, when do we start the mourning period? Rachmana litzlan, a person dies, from the time of the Kvura, from the time of the burial and on, we begin mourning. And we sit Shiva, Rachmana litzlan, for 7 days, and then a person has Shloshim, they have 30 days, which the restrictions are lighter than Shiva, but are still very heavy, and the person has the Yom the whole year, where they're a mourner, where they're prohibited from going to weddings, from live music, from buying new clothing, and then after a year, once a year, on the yard side of a person's parents, Rachmana litzlan, they don't do the things that they didn't do where they were mourning for a year. By Tisha B'Av, we find the opposite. 21 days before the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash and Shivasa B'Tammuz, we started having restrictions. We stopped making chasnas. We stopped having music. We stopped buying new clothing. And as we're getting closer to the Churban, to the date of the Churban, to Tisha B'Av, we have more and more restrictions until we come to the day of Tisha B'Av itself, the day where the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, where we have the most restrictions. We don't eat. We don't wash our hands. We sit on the floor. Men do not even wear tefillin. We have no limud haTorah until the time of Chatzos. And at the time of Chatzos, where Chazal tell us that that was the time where the Beis HaMikdash began to burn down, we get up from the floor. Men start putting on their tefillin. And from then on, things start getting lighter. It's the exact opposite of the regular way that we normally mourn. Why is this? Why doesn't the mourning period start from the minute the Beis HaMikdash was burned and destroyed and continue and to get more strict and more strict and more strict afterwards? Why do, as soon as the Beis HaMikdash was burned down, we get up from the floor? And this is especially puzzling because what it says in the Yerushalmi, in Yoma, Perek Aleph, Kol dor shelo nivna Beis HaMikdash b'yamav kilu nichra b'yamav. Any generation who doesn't merit to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash in its days, it's as if we destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. So why on the day of Tisha B'Av would we get up? And why is the Shabbos after Tisha B'Av called Shabbos Nachamu, the Shabbos of comfort? It should be the most devastating Shabbos of the year. We went through Tisha B'Av again. We destroyed the Beis HaMikdash again. And we haven't yet merited to see the second Beis HaMikdash. How could Shabbos Nachamu be Shabbos Nachamu? And then right afterwards we have Tu B'Av. Tu B'Av, the Gemara tells us, Lo hayu yomim tovim liYisrael keTu B'Av. Tu B'Av was one of the happiest days of the year. How do we make this transition on Tisha B'Av itself from mourning, from the epitome of mourning, from the darkest, deepest place, from sitting on the floor to getting up and beginning our journey towards Shabbos Nachamu and towards Tu B'Av? So, let's look first at the Megillah, which we read on Tisha B'Av, Megillas Eicha. Megillas Eicha, as we know, Rashi points out to us right away, Megillas Eicha was written in the days of Yehoyakim. And Yirmiyahu presented him part of the Megillah, and Yehoyakim read it, and he looked at it, and he took it, and he threw it into the fire. And then Yirmiyahu wrote the rest of the program, and he was finished with Megillas Eicha. And the question begs to be asked, what was the Yirmiyahu mourning when he wrote Megillas Eicha all in past tense, as if the Beis Hamikdash was already destroyed. What was he sitting and b'mekainen? What was he mourning when he wrote Megillas Eicha? And the answer is that prior to the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu had already, in steps and stages, began removing His Shechina from the Beis Hamikdash. And Yirmiyahu wrote Eicha, and he came and he wants to tell people, everybody, the Shechina has departed the Beis Hamikdash. And this is exactly why HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Sefer Yirmiyahu had to come ask everybody, Alma of the Haaretz, and why everybody was clueless. Because, two reasons. And the first reason is that Klal Yisrael didn't notice that the Shechina was departing and they didn't mourn it. We have the Beis Hamikdash, what's the problem? No, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not there. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence is missing. It's not the same relationship that it was. Notice that things are different now. Remember that what's